Commence primary ignition.
This is where the fun begins.
What is up, all of you Ugnaughts and Jawas out there, and welcome back to yet again another episode of Mando Talk. This time we are doing some Obi-Wan Kenobi predictions, and we've got episode 3 predictions coming in this week on this lovely Tuesday evening, and joining me as always is DJ Foster at Rebel Scum Texan. What's up, DJ?
What is going on, everybody? I don't have anything snarky to say up top today.
Nice.
That's it. I'm doing good. I'm wearing a Princess Leia shirt.
There you go. There you go. In honor of the captivating performance of young Leia this past weekend.
No, I just really wanted to wear this shirt. No, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. This is one of those T-shirts that, like, I told Caleb, it does not fit anymore, but I refuse to get rid of it. I love this shirt. So.
And anyone growing up, you've got to have a shirt like that, right? Maybe?
I think so.
Unless
yeah.
you're lucky and you're still jacked and cut and shredded, like that.
I was not young when I got this shirt. I was very much married and fat.
Nice.
Hey, speaking of marriage, happy anniversary to you, sir.
Appreciate
tomorrow and your lovely wife.
Absolutely, 3 years going strong. Loving every second of it. She still allows me to do this Star Wars nerdy stuff. So hey, the love will continue to come from me. That's for sure.
So three years anniversary on the 3rd episode of Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Hey, there we go. 3's the magic number.
You need another 3 in your life, sir. That's what you need. You got the anniversary in the episode. You need
another one.
The third thing.
We'll see. Maybe it'll come before the end of the stream. Who knows? Maybe something will pop up where 3 is relevant. Who knows?
Yeah.
But anyway, we are going to be doing some Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 3 predictions. Like we usually do on these prediction streams, we're going to have a couple of topics off the top before we get to those specific episode 3 predictions to allow everyone to get in here live, obviously, because this is a live stream exclusive here on YouTube. So appreciate everybody so much for checking us out live. And number 2, it allows us to kind of discuss other things going on in the Star Wars realm for a little bit. And of course, the big thing going on right now outside of Obi-Wan Kenobi is Star Wars Celebration. So we are going to, just real quickly, since Star Wars Celebration has wrapped, and I haven't necessarily had a chance to discuss it after it is wrapped. I know DJ did have an opportunity to do that here on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, with the Razor Crest Rundown. Is that the correct name?
Yeah, it is. And a while back, Caleb and I, some of you may remember this, fellow, listeners and viewers, but we were talking about trying to come up with a name for our news segment.
Yeah. And
I've had that in the back of my head for months. Mm-hmm. And never even used it until now. So
I love it.
I like the name of it. It rolls off the tongue well.
Absolutely. I love that name. It fits the Mando Talk brand, that's for sure. But yeah, we're going to real quickly reflect on Star Wars Celebration. Again, we're going to get to those predictions, but we wanted to make sure that everybody had the chance to get in here on the live stream so they could participate in that conversation as well. So we'll get there, promise, but I do want to acknowledge everybody in the live chat. We have someone there, Indiana Skywalker, which I'm loving that name. It's a combination of 2 perfect franchises, in my opinion. Says hello there in the live chat. Hello to you, Indiana Skywalker. Glad that you can make it, and glad anybody that's with us live could make it with us. So, Star Wars Celebration, just real quickly, we're not going to run down the entire thing because it's a massive thing that happened this past weekend. So many trailers, news pieces, rumors confirmed, things like that. We're going to give our top 3 overall impressions from Star Wars Celebration. I'll just go ahead and go first, and then I'll pass it to you, DJ, to give your top 3, and then we can kind of discuss a little bit more in detail if we would like. So my top 3 overall impressions. Number 3, obviously this is Mando Talk, so The Mandalorian had to make it into my top 3 impressions. The Mandalorian Season 3 teaser, which was not not shown to everybody at home, so I still have yet to see it. However, I have seen image leaks. The teaser that I'm assuming they saw looks pretty good. It sounds pretty good from things that I've read. And of course, we also got confirmation from Favreau himself that season 4 is in development, which I'm not surprised by at all. Honestly, if I had to put a prediction on it, I'm thinking maybe this show goes for 5 seasons. I think that would be a perfect little number. So I think they've got story in development for a couple more seasons, but it's exciting to hear that they feel so confident with it that they're already rolling with season 4. So that's my number 3. Obviously, Mandalorian season 3 teaser, season 4 being confirmed in development. Number 2, guys, if you're a listener to the show, you know that I went to Galaxy's Edge and got this Cal Kestis saber for a reason. It's because I love that character and I love that story that unfolded on that video game Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Well, we got confirmation that Star Wars Jedi Survivor is its sequel title, and we got a teaser, and that teaser was pretty dope. If I had to describe it with one word, dope would be the word that I would roll with. And then my number 1 overall impression from Star Wars Celebration is how awesome that Andor teaser trailer was, and that was released worldwide. You can go and catch it on YouTube if you haven't done so already. And we also got a release date, August 31st, which is a Wednesday, and they're going to again drop 2 episodes. So very exciting stuff. And of course, I wanted to at least mention this too, though. Honorables, the Bad Batch Season 2 trailer looks way better than I anticipated. Like, action-packed.
No,
action-packed. And then I also wanted to just real quickly give a shout-out to Skeleton Crew, and here's why. So Skeleton Crew is the next series, or one of the next series produced by Favreau and Filoni, but it's being written, developed by John Watts, and I believe it's Christopher Ford. I wanted to give them props because according, at least to my remembering here, from Celebration, Skeleton Crew is the only project they announced this weekend that doesn't rely on characters that we already know, if you know what I'm saying. So I wanted to give shout out to Skeleton Crew for taking that leap, giving us a story that's completely fresh. Now, we know it's in the Mandoverse because Filoni and Favreau are attached to it, but it's going to be new characters. That's exciting, so I wanted to mention and share some love to Skeleton Crew. All right, those are my overall impressions. DJ, anything you want to add to that, or if not, just go ahead and go to your top 3 overall impressions.
No, I think on Skeleton Crew, just briefly, I didn't mention that in my top 3. That's not to say I'm not excited for it. I'm very much excited for it. And yeah, they're not going to rely on existing characters necessarily right out of the gate, is what it seems like. But, as we go forward, there's no doubt that existing characters will make their appearance in Skeleton Crew. Plus, it's Jude freaking Law. Okay. Yeah. Like, it's going to be good because he's a fantastic actor in everything he does. So, and I know we've talked about that a little bit here already on Mando Talk, but I'll go ahead and go into my top 3, starting from the bottom to get to here. Little nice. Drake reference, everybody. Yeah. First of all, just the sheer number of trailers and announcements that we got is just way more than I expected. Just absolutely way more. I mean, from Fallen Order to Andor to Ahsoka, you mentioned Mandalorian. It was just all so much, and it was so worth that anticipation of waiting for this information to finally drop. I know a lot of people were kind of bummed about May the 4th, but even though typically May the 4th in the past hasn't been awesome, this year it really was, with the Kenobi trailer dropping, and then there was a bunch of other stuff that released too that day. I can't remember any of it now, but I just know that this really kind of topped, I think in a lot of ways previous Celebration announcements. So the only thing I would say about those, drops and announcements is that I wish I could have been there in person,
100%.
And then even then, if I wasn't in the room where they show the trailers, you could still talk to some rando and say, hey, what did they show? And then the buzz would just be, through the roof. But the good thing is I know they will obviously eventually release these things. And I imagine, they'll come out in due time. But for now, I just loved those things. That was my number 1 kind of takeaway from it. But the second thing I want to specifically talk about, Andor. It looks sick.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Good.
And I know that they released somewhere on Twitter, I don't even know. I know Bestman Bulletin reported about it like today or yesterday, but the writers have been, that has been released, that information, who's writing it. And I'm blanking on what those writers have worked on previously, but it's all kind of darker material, darker storytelling, which is exactly what Andor needs to be. And typically speaking, I would be against something like this, but because I love Cassian and because this genre, to my knowledge, has not been done in Star Wars, especially not on screen, I'm very much looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with this series. So Andor is just going to look incredible. It gonna look incredible. It does look incredible, and it's gonna be awesome, especially because it's a spy genre and spies are cool. All right, and thirdly, and my top favorite thing I took away from Celebration is Tales of the Jedi. Tales of the Jedi is already my favorite Star Wars.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I don't think about how much I enjoy the animated stuff until like I see something new.
Sure, I get
like,
that for sure.
Yeah, and so with this, I'm just kind of like, oh my goodness, like. I've seen leaks. I've seen the trailer leaks. Okay. And I DM'd you on TikTok, by the way.
And I don't know if I watched it. I saw that you sent it to me, but I don't know if I actually watched it.
Well, there's two halves of the Tales of the Jedi trailer and two separate videos I did send you, but at the same time, they are incredible. So if you're trying to find those, you're going to have to search for them on your own because I'm not sharing them with you. And I should have saved them to my device before
it got removed.
Yeah, because it's going to get removed, but it looks incredible, And the big thing for me, though, is that you and I have talked about this, Caleb. I could see this, paving the way for a Luke Skywalker story in live action, training Leia and Ben Solo. So that would be the best way, I think, to bridge the gap between 6 and 7 and tell that story that everybody wants. It would add so much depth, and there's stuff that's adding depth to the sequels as of now, but even with Obi-Wan Kenobi, I can see parallels and just a further deep dive, if you will. But this is a story that tells the Jedi, because this is just 6 parts. They're all shorts and they're all anthology. Who's to say you don't throw Luke Skywalker in there for a few episodes in a second season or something? So that's kind of my overall big 3 takeaways from Celebration. I thoroughly enjoyed what I got to watch and what I got to see. And then I'm even going back now and trying to catch up and find stuff. But that's kind of it for me on Celebration. So with that, I'll toss it back over to Caleb.
Well, I loved every single thing that we got from Celebration. Don't get me wrong. It was hard for me to come up with 3 overall impressions and takeaways. So great things happening in Star Wars. It was interesting, though. One thing that was missing was an official update or something about film. But I think Kathleen Kennedy in a quote, she said that Taika's film was going to be next. So obviously they're still working on them. I think they're probably saving those until next year in London for Celebration 2023. I think next year we're probably going to get some heavy movie updates. Indiana Skywalker shared their top 3 impressions. Number 1, Bad Batch. Number 2, Mandalorian. Number 3, Ahsoka. Yeah, Ahsoka. The stuff that we got for that out of nowhere as far as confirmation of Rebels characters coming in. Not surprising, but it was surprising to me that they went ahead and confirmed that this early in production with it.
I don't think it's that big a deal, personally. I think certain characters being revealed, good. Sure. And then, everybody kind of already knew where this story was going because of the Grand Admiral Thrawn name drop. Yeah. So, and I said that in the Razor Crash rundown the other day. So it's not that shocking to me, but at the same time, it's awesome that we've got faces that we can, see how these things look. Plus that mural.
Oh, yeah. Great stuff.
Live action, it's incredible. Oh, good soup. And Rural Farm Boy has joined the chat with a good old hey-o.
Hey-o. And what's up to Bright Suns Media as well? I saw you popping in there. Appreciate you checking us out. Anybody, keep bringing the chats. We'll definitely discuss whatever you put in that chat as we keep going. Well, those are our overall impressions from Celebration. Again, we could spend a lot more time discussing that, but DJ did a great job of giving basically the entire rundown of Celebration on the Razor Crest Rundown that is on our YouTube channel. Check that out, but wait until after the stream to check that out. But it's a great video.
Only thing I missed was Fallen Order. Or Survivor, I should say.
Yeah.
The only thing I missed was Jedi Survivor.
That's all right. That's all right.
I was editing it, and then I was like, oh, dang it.
All good. All good. All right. Well, now let's get in the predictions mindset. Now, before we actually get to episode 3 specific, now that we've actually seen 2 episodes, I think there's basically for us, it's two things that are really kind of on our minds as far as speculation, theories, predictions go, that just overall we kind of wanted to address. And I'm actually going to pass it to DJ for this first one, because this is something that he took the time to put this little image that we're about to display, put that together to try to further this conversation. So DJ, why don't you get us started on the first little thing that we have been heavily thinking on here at Mando Talk regarding the Kenobi series as a whole.
Yeah, so as far as a whole goes, you'll see on your screen, we've got these character posters of basically every character, every very important character that we've seen in Kenobi thus far. It goes from, you've got Haja Estri, then to Leia, I think, and then Kenobi, and then you got Reva and the fifth brother and the Grand Inquisitor. Now, when you look at all of these 6 individuals, they all have a twin sons over the left eye, I guess it is. When you look into the different eyes, Caleb and I had been working on a theory with this, and then the Leia poster was dropped today.
Yeah.
Yeah, today. So I guess ignore the Leia image, but look at all the others. If you look at everybody's eyes, who's in Haja's eyes? Vader. Who's in Kenobi's eyes? Vader. Who's in the Grand Inquisitor? Kenobi. Who's in the fifth brother? Kenobi. But then you look at Reva, and you've got Vader square in the middle of her eye. Up until now, we were viewing all these character posters as the person looking across at the enemy, kind of, I guess, so to speak.
Yeah.
So we have Vader in the eye of Reva. Now, the theory before today was that Reva would face off against Vader, or she would become an ally to Obi-Wan. Now, I guess with Kenobi being in Leia's eye, it does. I don't guess it really messes anything up. It's just that I think that it just further shows whose side Leia is obviously on, and that I guess if you want to really dig into it in the second episode, she's kind of pitted against Obi-Wan in a way, because she doesn't fully trust him, and I guess you could go that route. But we were really thinking, okay, Reva might end up being, I don't know, just somebody that will partner with Kenobi. And then I've seen theories all across the board talking about her character. I think that, she is the most interesting character right now in this series. Yeah. She has the most to unpack, if you will.
Oh, yeah. So, she's definitely got the most to unpack with the setups that we got in the first 2 episodes. For one, I have kind of thought that it's possible that Reva, finally said the name correctly, I believe that Reva might turn good toward the end. So I certainly, when I first saw this poster, thought, okay, maybe they're going ahead and planting those teases that she is going to end up turning good. And then, of course, today's Leia poster kind of threw that off. But one thing that I've kind of thought of that maybe keeps my initial thoughts solid is, does Leia have any clue, or has she ever even seen Vader like these other characters have? Like, maybe it's just a reflection of who they know that they're going up against. Maybe I don't know what I'm trying to say there, but that's kind of like my thoughts as far as maybe why Leia doesn't have Vader, because we know Leia's not against Kenobi at this point. But maybe that's why Leia doesn't have Vader in her eye, because she has no clue who this Darth Vader guy is.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe she's heard of him.
I mean, eventually she knows who he is, because in A New Hope, when they first meet, she says, Darth Vader, only you could be so bold.
Correct.
So,
which leaves the door open that, well, no, I don't want them to come face to face, because I feel like Vader would be able to connect with the Force somehow there, but I don't want them to come face to face. I was gonna say I wouldn't mind them coming face to face, but yeah, I think I might mind that a little.
Well, I don't have a problem with it, only because he clearly has no idea who she belongs to, really, in A New Hope. I mean, obviously he knows she's a member of the Imperial Senate. He says so. Knows where she's from, knows she's a princess of Alderaan, ergo Organa, so she knows who she's related to. But to him, he's missed it completely.
Yeah.
So it's okay if they meet.
Yeah, I think so. Now that you said that, like they meet in A New Hope without him recognizing that it's his daughter. So yeah,
and
they could
in Empire,
right?
Like, and at the carbon freezing chamber, same thing. And then they don't meet in Return of the Jedi, which is fine. It's just, that's when it all comes together for Anakin, so I guess if they meet at an early age, if she meets at an early age, Vader, that's okay. I mean, but she doesn't seem to be afraid of him in A New Hope. So they have to be done in a way that she doesn't fear Vader. Otherwise, A New Hope gets thrown off a little bit.
100%. Well, RFB in the chat says, I've heard what concerns Reva, there I go again, Reva. And Vader. It's a spoiler, we'll keep to my own. Yes, please keep to your own, because I don't want to know. But as far as when I saw this poster before the young Leia one came out, I thought that this gave me about 70% confidence that she's turning good by the end of this thing.
Yeah.
Now that I see the Leia one, maybe that percentage has gone down a little bit, down to 60. I'm still more favoring that she does turn good somehow. But yeah, this Leia one today that kind of dropped kind of threw a wrench in those little conspiracy theory brain thoughts that I had developing.
That could be the point, though, I mean, that could be what Lucasfilm's trying to do. Well, we also have in the chat, I think it's Sadist Broly or Sadist Broly. Either way, their prediction, flashback. Simple. No specific flashback, just a flashback of some sort in this episode. And I'm cool with that. Any flashbacks are great. I would hope for specifically a Reva flashback. That way we can get a little more backstory to her.
Oh, yeah.
Potential escape from the Jedi Order and Order 66, I should say.
I want to know how she gets out of the temple, too.
Oh, yeah.
I need to know.
That's where we get our Grogu cameo.
Well, I'm getting ahead of myself maybe a little bit. Or maybe, did I throw that in my episode 3 predictions?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, okay.
I did.
That's what I get for not reading ahead.
No, it's all good. It's all good. It keeps you surprised on the edge of your seat.
I love being surprised when we do our predictions. It's great. It's a fun time.
Yeah, we definitely wanted to discuss that because that is something that I think I've also seen kind of voiced in the community. When they saw those posters, they're like, that is very interesting that Kenobi's not in Reva's eye when all the other Inquisitors and villains have Kenobi in their eye. So, yeah, who knows? We'll see. Overall, I think it comes down to this question, though. You, the listener, do you think Reva turns good or does she stay bad? Let us know in the chat. If you've seen spoilers, though, maybe don't let us know because that would indicate to us that you may already know. So don't tell us if you've read spoilers, but if you're going in blind like us, because if you've intentionally avoided those spoilers like us, then you're out of the loop. So let us know in the chat what you think. Is Reva going good or is she staying bad? All right. There's one other thing that we wanted to discuss as far as overall plot goes. I'm still trying to wrap my head around the death, quote unquote, the death of the Grand Inquisitor. Now, we've seen tons of speculation, rumors, theories on what's going on here. Number one, I've seen a lot of people just say, okay, he's just going to be revived somehow. That's the first, probably most popular one. Number two, that the Grand Inquisitor is actually replaced by a different dude by the time that Rebels comes around.
Yeah.
And I think there was a third one as well, but I'm completely blanking on it, as I always do.
The Fennec Shand option.
Yes, the robotic kind of revival. So all kinds of different things going on. I will say for me, I am definitely leaning toward that it's the same dude. He's going to be revived in some form. I don't think it's going to be the Fennec Shand thing. I think maybe the fifth brother or somebody will stumble across him and force heal him potentially. I don't know. I was
about to say there's a fourth option and it is force healing.
That would be cool. But I would also love for the Inquisitor, all of the Inquisitors to believe that Grandy is dead and he just pops up out of nowhere.
Grandy.
And he's like, "No, Reva killed me. Let's kill her." I would love that option as well. So I don't really know. I'm just saying, I just bring this up to just say here at Mando Talk, at least on my end, I haven't heard DJ yet. On my end, I fully believe that Grandy just gets revived somehow. And he comes back into the story, and it's the same Grandy that we see in Rebels.
You gotta stop.
I'm gonna keep saying it because
I never would have thought to say Grandy at all. It's a cruddy restaurant. But you ever been to Grandy's? Anybody ever been to It's terrible. It's terrible. It's Cracker Barrel if it got into a really terrible life of drugs. That's what Grandy's is.
Fair.
Anyway, Grandy. Okay, speaking of Grandy, the Grand Inquisitor. Yeah, I'm under the impression this is the same individual from Rebels. I have a very hard time believing it to be somebody different. It's the same species from Utapau. I've seen them. They're called Utapauans, I guess. We'll go with that.
Sure.
But that particular species I've also seen has 2 stomachs, which is totally feasible because in Legends, Mon Calamari have 2 hearts. So, hey, I mean, anything's possible when you're in Star Wars. So there's that. Did you know that about the Mon Cal?
No, I'm just imagining this dude sit up and say, I got stabbed in my left tummy, but my right one's still okay.
my left tummy. That's great. Well,
actually, I think it would have been his right. If I remember the scene correctly,
but it doesn't. Whatever. Me. I mean, I don't know, but regardless, he's got 2 stomachs, and he's the same species. I mean, what is the likelihood of finding another Utapauan roughly the same age? It's
force sensitive, like all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he'd have to be like a distant cousin of this guy or something, and it doesn't make sense to me. But there's that. But I really like the Fennec Shand option also. Just throw some mechanical guts in there. They did it with Darth Maul, did it with Fennec. They're apparently doing it with Cobb Vanth. So give him some mechanical guts and throw him in a back to tank, and he'll be good as new by episode 4. I mean, it's no problem to me. But
I like it.
But I think the best option is probably the Force Heal option. That's what I have to go with, I think, for now.
Okay. I like it. I think we're kind of on the same page here for sure. It's going to be the same dude. We just have to kind of be patient and wait how this unfolds, but I'm assuming he's coming back at some point. We just don't necessarily know when. All right, I see some action going on over here in the chat, so let's hop over there for a second, and then we'll get into our episode 3 specific predictions. All right, so RFB says, in my playlist, I've heard folk guess the Grand Inquisitor might be cloned. Yeah, no, I don't think that's happening.
You have to throw that in there as an option.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
Granted, it's like a DEF list option, but it's in there.
Yeah. Sadist Broly says Anakin / Vader. I'm not sure what that's in reference to.
That's the flashback that he believes will happen, and then he explains his flashback down below.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read that. I think so. Again, from Sadist Broly says, I think it will be a Vader being assembled episode and a flashback of him in Order 66 approaching some other younglings where Reva will be one of them. I think we might speak on that later when we get to our specific episode 3 predictions, but I like where your head's at least there, Sadist. RFB's laughing at me for saying Grandy. I think that should stick, honestly.
I'm dying with it, honestly.
Make it canon.
What's his name? Grandy, the Grand Inquisitor.
And then RFB says they've just pawns? Powans?
Powans?
Is that the species from Utapau?
I guess if you're going to take off the UT, yeah, I guess that makes sense. UTA, then you just go with Powans.
I like that.
That's kind of neat.
I think that's legit. Yeah. I think that is legit because I think I've seen that name before.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than, like I said, Mon Calamari. And plus, that's already a thing on Earth. Yeah. So, and then Rhodia, they are the Rhodians. So I like Powans. I don't know why. It just sounds fun. Maybe it's just because POW. It's an action verb. POW.
Yeah.
Powans, I guess so.
I dig it. RFB always bringing the facts. We appreciate it.
Always.
All right. We are now ready for our episode 3 predictions. Look at our timing, too, man. Like 30 minutes, bow. We're now ready. So we had 30 minutes of just kind of Star Wars fun discussion. We love that. That's what these Tuesdays are all about. But then we also get into our specific episode predictions, and we're now ready for episode 3. And boy, oh boy, I know I've got one extra, so I'll go ahead and kick off. That way I don't have to go back to back toward the end. So first prediction, and I think this is something that maybe in the live chat we've already kind of teased up potentially. We get more flashbacks to understand the character of Reva. That is my first prediction. Now, I've put a lot of thought into this, guys. And if you're in Discord, one of my one of my initial thoughts was in the Discord chat. Click the link in the description if you haven't joined our Discord. I'm trying to theorize and come up with, how does Reva know that Darth Vader is Anakin Skywalker? Because all this stuff that we read in comics, books, canon, everywhere, Vader kills anybody that figures out. And rightfully so, because that's the big secret that nobody needs to know. It's a need to know kind of thing. And if you don't need to know, you're getting offed. So I've been trying to think about how that could work. I went as far as thinking that Anakin takes Reva under his wing as early as being at the Jedi Temple to become like a secret apprentice thing, but I don't know if I really like that. And now I've kind of come to a more simple conclusion. I think we potentially, and I left my prediction broad so that way it could be correct, but maybe here's some more speculation from me here on this prediction as far as flashbacks to understand the character of Reva. I think it's as simple as we just get a scene that continues those younglings running through the halls. Reva somehow kind of steps to the side and is able to hide as maybe she watches the rest of those younglings get attacked by Anakin. That would be brutal. But she overhears and she knows that that's Anakin Skywalker because it's the most popular kid in school. Everybody knows who Anakin Skywalker is.
Yeah, he's the chosen one.
But then he hears maybe he hears one of the clones say, Lord Vader, all of the other Jedi have been destroyed. And at that moment she knows Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader. That's now kind of where my headcanon theorizing is at. It's more it's more simple than I initially was trying to make it to be. But regardless, my first prediction, I think we do at least get some more flashbacks to understand the character of Reva. But of course, I wanted to kind of share where my current headspace was at with that prediction. What are your thoughts on that, DJ?
Initially, I don't have a problem with any of it. I think they're all fantastic theories and they're totally feasible. Whether it's a young apprentice situation or she hides in the corner and overhears, totally feasible. I think the best option we kind of got a hint of, and I think it was Obi-Wan Kenobi episode 2, where she talks about how she went through the archives and found a connection to Bail Organa, and how him and Obi-Wan are connected. To have an obsession with Obi-Wan almost, says, okay, you're going to have an obsession with the only Padawan he ever had. And that is Anakin. There's just he never had another Padawan. I guess you could say he briefly had Ahsoka as a Padawan in Clone Wars movie, but so that's let's write that one off. But then you could make a quick jump to Anakin. Okay, what happened to Anakin? And I really don't think it'd take a whole lot of digging for her to find that Anakin is Vader. And if she digs in the right places in the archives, I mean, she's an Inquisitor, basically a Sith. She might have access to more online information, if you will, than, the average, Imperial citizen, I guess. So, I guess she could have dug around a little bit in the databanks of the temple or in the archives of the Empire, whatever they have, and found a connection there and just, obviously it's him, but that's the only thing I would say to that.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, do we want to address the chat, or let's actually go ahead and go to your first, and then we'll check out the chat to see what.
Didn't you want to run yours
there.
back to back though?
No. We'll flip because I have one more than you. So since I went first, it'll end up to where I end.
I'm with you.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Go to your first.
All right, here's my first one. Kenobi predictions, episode 3. Vader will make a fully suited appearance. That we will see him put on the whole shebang and he will show up. That doesn't mean he's going to come in and start slashing people down a la Rogue One, but I don't see how we get that tease at the end of the second episode without at least seeing him over like a hologram, or even just like make a quick appearance at the Fortress Inquisitorius or something, just like he shows up and he's there. And we just see him breathing and all his cool Vaderness, and just knowing that Hayden Christensen's behind the mask the whole time. I think that will happen in episode 3. How it happens, A, I don't care. B, it just makes sense that it could. Sure. I mean, I really think it will happen in this one.
Yeah.
If they hold out for a whole nother week to show full blown Vader, that's. I think that's pushing it.
No,
for Luke.
I'm right there with you. I think, especially after the tease that we got in episode 2 there at the end, I think in some form we're going to be getting Vader. And I believe that chat that I mentioned earlier, if I glanced at that correctly, is kind of also in agreement as far as Vader being involved. So let's hop over to the chat. It is from Sadis Broly again. Keep them coming. Appreciate it, Sadis, for being engaged with us during this chat. Says the following: I think it will be a Vader being assembled episode and a flashback of him in Order 66 approaching some other younglings when Reva will be one of them. The reason behind my statement was because of the report from discussing film in Twitter about a concept art of Vader, Anakin in the Jedi Temple during Order 66 approaching 3 younglings. I have not seen that concept art, but that sounds pretty dang good.
I remember hearing about that report from Discussing Film. I do remember it was a long time ago. It was a while back that I remember hearing about that, but I wrote it off.
Yeah.
Because at the time, I wasn't thinking on flashbacks much, I guess. Because I guess when I first read it, it was pre-Boba Fett, and that whole show's flashbacks, and the only real flashbacks we've ever had in Star Wars was the beginning of Rogue One, and then also in Last Jedi.
Jedi, yeah.
I guess I just wasn't thinking on flashbacks. Now we're in a world in Star Wars where flashbacks make sense.
For sure. So, and also when the first scene of this series is a flashback, I think that's pretty much confirmation that we're not done with him.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, I think we're definitely going to see some more flashbacks, and this one makes a lot of sense, and it kind of goes well with your first, prediction.
Yeah. Well, I love your prediction about Vader making an appearance, and I have a feeling that might show up on one of mine. So I'll hold off any additional thoughts for me until I get to read my little prediction, I guess, if you will. But let's go ahead and go to my second one, and that is this: we visit Fortress Inquisitorius. Now, I said this last week for episode 1 or 2, and I was wrong. So this is one of those situations where I'm going to continue to copy and paste until it actually occurs. But I think that it would actually make sense.
Of course.
I think it would make sense this week to go to Fortress Inquisitorius now that we have, I guess, this tension going on amongst the Inquisitors, and just to kind of get a further understanding of what do these peeps really do. Now, of course, we know, but just further character development for Reva, for the fifth brother, for all the other Inquisitors that we've seen so far. I think it'd be great to see their location. And I think maybe looking ahead, DJ, why don't you go ahead and read your second prediction?
A second prediction? What? We will be heading to the Fortress Inquisitorius.
There you go. There you go.
I love that whenever you and I have predictions that line up, like we did in Book of Boba Fett, we had a few predictions that lined up, but they were so different most weeks that there was so much to discuss. With this, it's nice to know that you and I are in sync as co-hosts here, but secondly, I think it just shows us that we haven't over speculated too much about this show.
Yeah, I think we're doing a good job so far with this show. We're very much more grounded this go around, I think.
I don't know. I mean, I would say you are. I for sure am, because every week someone's like, do you think it's like my brother? I was talking to my brother today, and he was like, well, what about the Grand Inquisitor? I was like, dude, chill. There's 4 more episodes. We got a little while before we get there. And he was like, yeah, you're right. He was just overthinking it. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing. He's not the only one. I'm harping on my brother, but like there's people on the internet constantly. I see, what is going on with this? But, to say that we're going to the fortress makes all the sense in the world, because the one big dude Inquisitor, he's been offed, as you said. A little bit. So, I mean, the fifth brother and another, I think it's one of the sisters, is on Dayu when that happens. They just didn't see Reva do what she did.
Can we get a name drop for this other Inquisitor?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if she's from Rebel season 2 or not.
Yeah,
I really think it's her. I just don't know.
Okay. I just wish that they would address it in this actual show for the people that haven't seen Rebels.
No, that'd be great.
Half of their audience right now, I'm assuming.
Oh, absolutely. Because my wife never seen Rebels. Didn't know what an Inquisitor was before yesterday or 2 days ago. So that just shows how much they're building. But she got it. I mean, immediately she was like, oh, they are definitely former Jedi. And then she told me she said that, and then 5 seconds later it was said in the episode.
Nice.
Now, all that to say, kind of got off track. I'm trying to get back over here. The reason I think they're going to the fortress is they're going to bring the body of the Grand Inquisitor back. Ooh. They're going to do what they got to do, and then they're going to be like, okay, because they don't give a rip about Kenobi. The Grand Inquisitor made that very clear from the beginning. And Reva's the one who cares about Kenobi. So the Inquisitor's going to be like, we got to get our leader, back together, which goes against the Sith code, but that's another thing for another day. And at the same time, they're going to get him there. And then when the Inquisitor wakes up, he's going to be like, get her, sick the dogs on her, that kind of thing. And that's what's going to happen. The dogs being the other Inquisitors. So, and maybe some Stormtroopers and some Death Troopers, because we have seen Death Troopers, mentioned. And we haven't seen Indira Varma? Is she supposed to be in this show?
We have not seen her yet, and she is in this show. We saw her character in a trailer. So
maybe Attack on prediction. Maybe we'll see her, tomorrow.
I would certainly love that. The Game of Thrones in me would
I know
love
you
that.
would.
RFB in the chat says, best way to go, Caleb. Keep up the copy and paste. Absolutely. Anything that doesn't come true from these episode 3 predictions are getting copied and pasted for next week's episode 4. But we'll change it up. Don't think that those are just the predictions.
There'll always be something else to add on. Yeah, always.
RFB says she's the 4th sister. This is in discussion with that Inquisitor that we haven't gotten a name dropped of. And he says, ain't named as of yet. No species for the 4th sister neither, as of yet. So maybe we'll get some detail about this 4th sister Inquisitor, maybe at Fortress Inquisitorius, which both of us are believing that we're going to see that location in the next episode. All right, on to my 3rd prediction. I really like this one. I hope it comes true. Reva lies to the other Inquisitors and tells them that Obi-Wan killed the Grand Inquisitor. I just kind of feel like that would make sense to kind of keep her alive and safe. That, as she knows, there's no chance that old Grandy gets up from that stab and says, Reva did this. So she's just going to lie about it and say, look, Kenobi did this. So there's your motivation. Let's go and get Obi-Wan finally. Like, listen to me. We need to get this guy. He killed your boy Grandy over here. So I feel like she might lie about it. Yeah. Number 1, to save herself from not being attacked by these other Inquisitors. But number 2, to motivate the Inquisitors to actually go after Obi-Wan. What do you think about that 3rd prediction there?
I totally could see it.
Okay.
I don't know how it works in with my next theory so much, so I don't want to completely agree to it. But to say that you're onto something, I think you are, because I think that could very easily happen. And if it's not something that Deborah Chow and the writers wanted to do, I would say it's something they considered, heavily, if they don't decide to go that route. It makes the most sense. I would personally like to see it like this. Reva does exactly what you just said. Okay. Walked in all, Kenobi did it. Let's go get him. But then, like, literally seconds later, here comes the fully healed Grand Inquisitor being like, wrong. And it creates some drama, a little bit of family type drama there in the tribe that is the Inquisitors. Yeah. I think that would be a lot of fun to watch, and then to see her be like, oh, I got to leave, and then like take off running. That would give us, reason for a lot of things we've seen of shots of the fortress already. And and that's what I was going to say. Like, think about that really cool scene where Reva is twirling her saber, deflecting lasers and stuff. Yeah. It would certainly make sense for the stormtroopers, purge troopers, all the troopers that are there to attack her, because the Inquisitors have come to the realization that she's the one that stabbed the Grand Inquisitor. So I feel like I like that idea too, for sure. Well, I think they all just kind of work together. So I'll go ahead and go into my next one. Okay. If that's okay. Yeah, do it. My 3rd one is this. The Grand Inquisitor will reappear and will be working to turn the other Inquisitors against Reva. One of my favorite things about this show is that, aside from Jedi Fallen Order, Reva is the only name drop we've had of an Inquisitor. We don't know the other Inquisitors' actual names. It's 5th brother, Grand Inquisitor, 2nd sister, 7th sister, et cetera, or 7th brother, whatever it is. And I love that, because not knowing who is what their names are is really cool to me. Yeah. But for whatever reason, in this show, the Inquisitors look down on Reva so much that they use her first name. I think that's a big deal, because to not call her whatever sister number she is, I can't remember now. Third sister. Okay. To not call her 3rd sister, continuously, and call her Reva, to me looks like a degrading of her, from inside their ranks, if you will. That's a great point. Because you would never hear the Emperor call Darth Vader Anakin. Yeah. And you never really hear Sidious call Dooku. In episode 2, you hear Lord Tyrannus. So it just doesn't make any sense that in the hierarchy of the Inquisitors and the Sith, you would ever refer to them as their real name. It's always Darth, insert Darth name here, Yeah. So I think with this, it just is a neat little tie-in. And along with that, I think that goes even further, kind of connecting back to the original thought. The Grand Inquisitor is going to try to, work against Reva.
Mm-hmm.
And I think from here on out, we won't hear her be called the third sister anymore. It'll only be Reva. And I think that her joining Obi-Wan as a potential, plot point is kind of a last resort option for her.
Yeah.
And maybe they work together, but I don't really want to see that, but I could see where they might go that way.
Yeah. I mean, so far she just has this hatred for the dude that I just see no way that they could work together.
It's
but
unrelenting.
It's definitely still possible for sure.
I mean, I think about Agent Callus and Garazeb Aurelius in Rebels hated each other until they got trapped in a cave on one of the moons of Geonosis. I mean, by the time they got spoiler alert for Rebels, it's been out for a while, so it's on YouTube. I haven't watched it, but when I keep wanting to say Callus, excuse me. When Callus finally defects and goes to the Rebels, they're buddies, So like, I'm assuming something similar to that might happen. I'm not saying I want it to happen, but it could. But anyway, all that to say, Grand Inquisitor is showing up.
I don't think. Yeah, no, I don't have Grand Inquisitor popping up on any of my predictions the rest of the way for episode 3. So I will say this. I could see a situation where the entire plot line of this third episode is a life with the Grand Inquisitor dead for all of our characters. But then at the end of this thing, it's kind of like Vader in episode 2. At the end of this thing, Grand Inquisitor's eyes open and it's realized for next week, okay, we're going to deal with the consequences of this character actually being back. So I definitely agree with your thoughts as far as the Grand Inquisitor. Grand Inquisitor is definitely at some point going to reappear. All right, before I move on to my fourth prediction, let's hop over to the chat real quick. RFB says... No species. Oh, I already read that one. So next one. The second sister has a name, Trilla. Yes, that is from Jedi Fallen Order.
That's the one I remembered. Yeah.
Trilla is her name, and we know that name. She's called that name in that game. So it's kind of to your point earlier. Sadist Broly says the episode will resume back to the Jedi Temple with those same younglings of episode 1. I hope so, because that would play into my first prediction that says we get more flashbacks to understand the character of Reva. So certainly hope for that one. RFB says there are names, and I think he's referring to Inquisitors. Yes, there are definitely some of them that are named, but I like DJ's point that they don't name them by their names, though, out of respect.
Not when you're like watching the show or reading. Maybe in a comic they have their names that are mentioned, but like when you're looking at like Fallen Order, Rebels, and now this, the Inquisitors don't call Trilla, not that I'm aware of. I'm currently I'm replaying Fallen Order right now when I have a chance, and I don't recall any of the Inquisitors up to this point calling her Trilla.
Yeah.
So, I just to my point about Reva, they may have, obviously they had real names before and they maybe mentioned somewhere else in canon, but not like in live action storytelling or animated storytelling.
100%. All right. We're caught up on the chat. So let's keep going to my fourth prediction. And this is something that we've already discussed, but I agree with you, DJ, that Darth Vader will be assembled.
Sweet.
I think it would make sense as far as it being the scene that we've seen in a trailer, because so I looked back after we saw the first 2 episodes. I looked back, watched all the teasers that we've gotten. I would say like 80% of the shots from the trailers have now been used. Like there's only a few more as far as like the fortress shots, Reva specifically in the fortress doing her thing, twirling the lightsaber with a bunch of troopers behind her. Reva rubbing her hand up against the wall of like a Jedi Order kind of symbol. I think that was in the first teaser. We also haven't seen that. Kenobi shooting on kind of like a deserty kind of sandy planet. We haven't seen that one as well. But I say all of that to say they've knocked out a lot of the shots from trailers so far. So I think this Darth Vader being assembled in this episode will be the shots that we've seen from the teaser trailer. Now, I would still love for, my fan theory that I keep sharing over and over again is that each piece that comes onto Darth Vader is a part of Anakin that fades away, and we get like a little glimpse of a flashback. Kind of like how they did the Obi-Wan bad dream sequence in episode 1 when he was dealing with all that trauma in his sleep. Kind of like that for our boy Anakin as each Vader piece is coming on him. Flashback to the old part of himself. It's dying, it's fading away as each piece gets put on him. But I do think that we are going to see Vader assembled, and I think he's going to assert his dominance. I think it's needed in this episode that, okay, we've established that the Inquisitors are out there to hunt after Jedi, and Reva is specifically going after Kenobi, but now we really have to establish that, yes, in fact, Darth Vader is definitely still the big bad. So I think Vader's showing up. You had a interesting look on your face as I was talking. What do you got?
I'm sorry. I had to. It came all at once, and I had to listen to you. First of all of your reasoning make total sense. Vader needs to be the big bad. Mm-hmm. Okay, and what you got me with was Obi-Wan shooting a gun on a desert planet.
Correct.
I have been under the impression via posters that have been released that Vader and Kenobi will have their showdown on Tatooine.
Correct. That's what it looks like. That's what it looks like.
That impression. I'm just trying to figure out. There's a lot of canonical things that need to be addressed, I think, given the age of Obi-Wan Kenobi at this point in time. And I have a theory I've not shared on the show about why he suddenly gets so old.
Uh-oh.
There's the classic, there's 2 suns, therefore, because there's that much more sunlight, it wrinkles your skin faster. I get it. That's a little too scientific for me because it's Star Wars. Okay. It's a little too sci-fi for space fantasy.
Sure.
I like Star Wars because it's space fantasy. I don't like sci-fi. So that's why I've never gotten into Star Trek. So for me, the thing I'm thinking is there's 2 options here. I could see where Kenobi suddenly ages up like a lot. We saw with Force Lightning in Revenge of the Sith that you can age rapidly and quickly. Mm-hmm. So I have a theory that Vader may be able to use Force Lightning. He's so angry that like he could age up Obi-Wan in a fight really fast. And then we suddenly see Alec Guinness, which would be dope. Uh-huh. And the thing for me, why I brought that up is you see him shooting on a desert planet. There's Imperial people around him, which looks like Tatooine. Why would the Empire be on Tatooine? Aside from maybe they, got wind of Obi-Wan being there. And Vader's tried to accompany him. I'm formulating something here off the top of random. And this is not an episode 3 prediction. This is just square out of left field. But it's the only thing. You talking about that. I was like, oh my gosh, that could happen. Something like this could happen. And then the other thought was, what if he falls in a Sarlacc pit and he suddenly all the acid like makes him age, which I guess that's possible, but it would leave scar tissue and he doesn't have any when we get to 4. So, and he doesn't look like he has access to a back to tank. So I'm not going to go with that one, but the Force Lightning Vader thing is just something that I was like, oh, it could happen.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
I don't think my foundation for that real quick is the episode 3 video game.
Okay.
When you play Revenge of the Sith, the video game, when Anakin turns to the dark side, you can use Force Lightning. Mm-hmm. So I just want to throw that in there as an option because he is a villain. He is a Sith. And to get to a point where you can use Force Lightning means like, oh crud, this is the guy you don't want to mess with. So anyway, throwing that out there, it's probably wrong. As we say all the time here, stuff's going to get totally wrong.
I don't think they address Kenobi aging quick at all in the show.
That's fine if they don't, it's totally okay. I would be totally okay with a flash forward and Ewan McGregor is made up to look like Alec Guinness. That would make a lot of sense to me because we don't have Alec Guinness, obviously. So it'd be neat to like see that happen, but they don't have to do that.
No, they don't. They don't. But yeah, I definitely do think, and you've already shared it, chat's already shared it too, Vader's showing up fully assembled in eplode 3. I think we're going to see our boy.
Sorry to like totally derail that. That was
all
not
good. All good.
Was not
it's predictions, man. Predictions come out of left field sometimes, All right.
Before we move on, Sadis Broly's over here in the chat. Okay. And he says, hopefully we see Mustafar in this series. I don't see why we won't.
I don't see why we wouldn't either.
Yeah, it just makes sense. I would as early as tomorrow.
Assuming that Vader's back to tank that he's in there is on Mustafar, which would make the most sense.
Yeah, because we already saw that in Rogue One.
Right.
So
all right.
See like that.
On to your 4th prediction.
Oh man, we made it. Okay, this is my most out there prediction. Okay, and you're gonna have to follow my connections here, Caleb, because they're kind of wild. But an established character will rendezvous with Leia and Kenobi. When I say established, I mean somebody that we've previously seen within the Star Wars canon. I'm gonna run down. I have 3 possibilities.
Ooh,
I'm gonna
okay.
run all that down really fast, and then I'll toss it back over to Caleb so he can wrap things up for us. Here's the first option I have. Given where Obi-Wan Kenobi, the show, takes place in the timeline overall of Star Wars, there's a lot of options, I think, as to who Haja Estri sent Obi-Wan to go find. Because Obi-Wan's like, who am I supposed to go find? And he goes, just go. Just totally doesn't say the name, leaves it alone. Most unlikely would be Lando Calrissian. Here's my reasoning for that. Haja gives him a sabacc card before they leave Daiyu. And we know who's most associated with sabacc in Star Wars. It's going to be Lando. Second to that, which would be a more unlikely possibility, would be Han and Chewbacca. Again, because of the sabacc card. Now, let's kind of think about this for a second. Solo, a Star Wars story, takes place exactly 1 year before this story. Han looks like he's about 40 years old. Okay.
Yeah.
And Leia's 10 years old. So you create this weird, they fall in love issue, which I don't think they want to mess with because we've already got Luke and Leia in the OT. So let's not throw anything else in there that's making people feel uncomfortable,
Yeah.
But I could see Chewbacca. Here's why. He could do something without Han. Who knows? It's not like he always has to be with Han.
That's possible.
And that's mainly because of this like background shots of Obi-Wan and Chewie in the cantina in A New Hope, where they're just kind of talking and trying to like work out a deal. I could see where like, hey, I know you. Can you help us out of here? And they do their deal and they move on. Kind of deal. But that's again very unlikely. I think the best and coolest option. Well, the best option would probably be a random character, which is fine. But the best and coolest option would be your boy Cal Kestis.
Oh, that would be great. I would flip. Flip if that's who it was.
And if it's Cal Kestis, great. It takes place only Fallen Order takes place, I think, 5 years before Kenobi.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to fast forward for Jedi Survivor. You have to, because that's how time works. So you have to get to a point where maybe Cal has seen Obi-Wan post Order 66, which other than a holocron, because he does see him in a holocron in Fallen Order. So I think this is the coolest option. Now, here's more reasoning with the sabacc card. This is my only clue. Okay. The captain of the Mantis says to Cal Kestis in Fallen Order at one point in like a cutscene, he enjoys playing sabacc. It's a super like, hey, here's this random thing. That probably has to do with the fact that Solo in this video game were kind of in development and coming out around the same time, but I don't care. I just think it's cool. And not to mention the best person to help Obi-Wan in this circumstance would be another Jedi. And Hodge has been playing the role of a fake Jedi, so he may know another Jedi. He just doesn't want to say anything about it. And Reva in episode 2 was like, you're not a Jedi, but you know one. All the Force lets on there is that he knows a Jedi. We assume it's Kenobi. It could be another Jedi. It could be, he could know 2 Jedi. He'd be one of the people on the planet who would know 2 Jedi, or in the universe, I should say.
Okay.
And finally, last thing, and then I'll toss it back to Caleb.
Okay.
With Cal Kestis, this could also work towards setting up Jedi Survivor if they want to make that far of a leap into the future. Plus, the Inquisitors, they're like the main antagonists of Jedi Fallen Order. So it only makes sense to progress that story in a way that ties all of this stuff together. I think it'd be really cool if they did that. Now, will they? I don't know. This is just a prediction. If it's wrong, cool. I'm fine with it. It's just my most outlandish prediction to date on this show is this, I think. So I'm my favorite option is Cal Kestis. Again, I could see Chewbacca specifically.
Yeah.
That'd be a stretch. A bigger stretch would be Lando. But other than that, rando character number 7, throw him in there or her in there. But that's kind of where I'm at on these. Caleb, what do you think about that?
Well, when I saw that this was, because of course I have to prepare these images, so I saw this prediction beforehand as far as the established, when you said that, I think it's most likely going to be a completely new character. I think it's probably going to be O'Shea Jackson, and I think Sadis Broly actually said that in the chat as well. I think it's either going to be his character or I think it could be, I think it's like Simone Kessel, another big time actress, and there's also like Maya, or there's still several big time actresses and actors that we haven't seen yet. So I'm thinking that it's more than likely going to be one of those. But of course, when you say Cal Kestis, my ears perk up, and I would love to see that. I don't think it could be either Han or Chewie, because of the quote from A New Hope when Han's like, "Where'd you dig up that old fossil?" Like, I don't think they've crossed paths before, so I don't think that that's going on, and I don't think I think Chewbacca would communicate to Han if he had met him before, maybe, who knows. And I would love for it to be Lando, but I don't know about that one either. I would have to think about that one for sure. But I love all of those thoughts. I love all of those ideas. I definitely lean toward most likely brand new character, though. But I love the speculation going on here for sure. Can't hear you.
I forgot I
There you
muted. I have no memory of muting my microphone. Anyway, I think, that's something, right on point, and you're right. They're all out there, and I don't typically speculate a ton nowadays because it's gotten me in my feels in the past. I can't even watch Book of Boba Fett because of my previous speculations, because it's just like I'm just mad at myself. And then went back and rewatched like the Rancor fight thing the other day, and I was like, okay, this is pretty dope.
Yeah. All right.
But anyway, yeah.
I love that prediction. I love it. I would love for it to be an established character. Don't get me wrong.
It's Plo Koon or Mace Windu.
In the chat, Savannah Foster. What up, Savannah? Is the helmet going to come off of Vader in this series? I think so. I mean, technically, could we say it already has? In a sense, from a certain point of view.
It hasn't even been put on, but the
Right.
Hasbro helmet they're releasing actually has a split down the middle. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Stargirl 2000s. What up, Stargirl 2000s? According to Google, Alec was 62 when A New Hope appears, and Ewan is currently 51. So it is possible in 10 years for him to get older as Alec. The aging may not be necessary. Yeah, that's kind of where I fall there, Stargirl. But
I never said he couldn't. I just
right.
I want to be outlandish.
Speculation for sure.
But on top of that, I actually found an image on Twitter the other day of Alec Guinness at the same age as Ewan McGregor is now at 51. And I don't know if I liked it or retweeted it or what, but he looks a lot like Ewan McGregor in this particular photo. So if you ever find Alec Guinness at age 51 and compare it to Ewan McGregor at 51, it's stunning. Like, it's incredible how much they look alike. So the aging, all that to say, you could jump forward pretty quickly if you wanted to.
That's fair. That's fair. Speculation. I don't blame you for wanting that. I mean, because that's always been a topic of discussion amongst the fans for sure. All right, let's get it to my last prediction, and we'll kind of wrap this stream up. We're kind of hit at that hour mark that we always strive to get to. Okay, my fifth prediction, pretty simple. I think this is a guarantee, but I was going to kind of speculate along with it. I think Obi-Wan and Leia make it to that location, Mapuzo, that Haja tells them that it's going to take them to. But I wanted to add to this maybe a little bit. I wasn't confident in it enough to put it on the board as, like, this is one of my predictions. I don't want to impact my win-loss record. But I have a feeling that it would make sense now that since tomorrow's going to be the halfway point for the show, it would make sense for the Leia being rescued to finish tomorrow, potentially. I think it's possible for after they get to Mapuzo, maybe they somehow get in contact with the Organas and they get Leia back to Alderaan. I've also kind of internally speculated that maybe there's early cells of the Rebel Alliance at this Mapuzo location. That would be kind of cool. Maybe like a Saw Gerrera or somebody. I don't know. It'd be really, really, really interesting. But I still come back to the idea. I think it's new characters. I think it's going to be, like I mentioned, O'Shea Jackson, Simone Kessel, Maya Erskine, all those different performers that we have yet to see. Because, we're getting to the halfway point. We need to see these characters. I think it's probably going to be more so of that, but we'll see. I also wouldn't be surprised if this Mapuzo location is that desert location that we see Kenobi shooting, we see Indira Varma shooting or showing up. I don't think that's outside of possibility now. I believe it's more than likely going to be Tatooine, but it's also possible that maybe Mapuzo is another deserty location. Who knows? We'll see.
Do we really need another desert location?
We don't.
In Star
We definitely
Wars?
don't. Trust me, we don't. But, you never know. I lean toward those are on Tatooine, but just thoughts that I'm having currently. But I definitely do think that Obi-Wan and Leia make it to Mapuzo, and I just haven't gotten to the full commitment of I think the Leia mission is finalized. Like, I think that she gets back home. What are your thoughts on that fifth prediction? What are your thoughts on the Leia arc? Like, are we finishing that up tomorrow, or is she going to keep going?
She doesn't need to be involved with it doesn't need to be involved at all. Like, she doesn't need to be involved at all what's about to happen. Like, she needs to be removed from the story completely in order for Obi-Wan and Vader to have their showdown that we've been teased for like a year now. So because we need to get to that point, she doesn't need to be there. So yeah, of course the mission is going to be complete here. Who she gets handed off to, if it's a Jedi, cool. That's great. Maybe for like this episode only, because it's still Kenobi's show, to give a major cameo to like someone, like I said, like Cal Kestis, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But at the same time, hand her off to, Harrison Dula, maybe.
Yeah.
Or Kanan Jarrus. That's a cool option. Freddie Prinze Jr. in live action as Kanan. That'd be freaking dope.
That would be cool.
But, it could be a lot of things. I think you're right. We need to be done with Leia by the end of episode 3. You could push it to 4, but we need it. Like, she's a plot device. That's what she is. She and the Organas as a whole, Alderaan, all of it is a plot device to get Obi-Wan off of Tatooine so that we can see this showdown happen. Because that's what everything's about now, is getting to the showdown. And the faster we get to the showdown, the better.
Fair. For sure. I think along the way, we definitely need to get some more Reva answers. I think that's probably going to be probably episode 4-ish. Maybe we get like finalized on Reva's character's background, stuff like that. Yeah. And then 5 will be the build up to the rematch, and then 6 will be the rematch and the aftermath of that rematch. I think that might be kind of a decent plot line that might be going in that direction, but we'll see. Well, those are our specific episode 3 predictions. We got through them. I feel like, solid predictions. Think they all could potentially happen. Maybe some of ours kind of clash to where one of the others wouldn't occur, but who knows? That's okay. We're always more wrong than right, but still, these streams are, quite honestly, for me, the most fun streams that we have is having predictions, getting to pretend that we're Star Wars writers, share our opinions on why this is what needs to happen in the next episode. I absolutely love it. And I absolutely love the fact that all of you guys in the chat delivered as far as sharing some predictions with us. I love reading those. And it looks like we have another one from Sadist Broly that says, I think it ends tomorrow. Obi-Wan will go his separate way and she will be delivered by someone else. Ooh, interesting. I don't know if I'd agree with the someone else aspect of that, but yeah, I could see the whole Leia stuff being finalized. That would certainly be cool. It would it would make sense is maybe Bail's hanging out on Tatooine still, and they just go back to Tatooine, and he's like, here's Leia. Adios. And that's how we get our little ending on Tatooine with Indira Varma and with him shooting the stormtroopers and the probe droids and the Vader showing up, whatever, yada, yada, yada. Who knows? We'll see. But thank you so much. RFB says, Caleb DJ, expected Twitterverse DM for me. All right, we'll see. Hey.
If it's not random canon, I send it back.
Well, and to anyone, if you want to get more Mando Talk, follow us at Mando Talk on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. You can get at us there, and you can have more one-on-one discussion with us in Discord. Click that link that's in the description. And Thursday, we get to do our spoiler discussion at 6 p.m. Central, the same exact time. We'll be live here on YouTube, but an audio version of that live stream will go to our podcast platforms on Friday morning. So make sure that you are here Thursday live at 6 p.m. Central. If you're not able to be here live, though, just know that Friday morning, the next day, we'll have you covered on whatever platform you need to get your Mando Talk fix on. All right, DJ, I appreciate you being here yet again. Any final words that you would like to give our lovely viewers and lovely live audience?
Yes, to the lovely live audience, thank you, as always. Go check out the Razor Crest Rundown from yesterday on our channel if you haven't been able to yet, and get caught up on some of the news that come out of Celebration. And finally, one more time, happy anniversary to you and your lovely wife, Maddie.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
So y'all have a good time celebrating. And yeah, I don't know. We never came across a third thing with the threes. So too bad for that.
Oh, well, it's all good. It's all good. We'll figure. Well, hey, here's the three.
What?
Me and Maddie, my wife, are fixing to watch the third episode of Stranger Things with our meal tonight. So there you go.
There's your three. Okay. If your meal, you could have said my meal is like chicken breast, broccoli, and mashed potatoes.
There's my threes.
Okay. You know what? Go watch your Stranger Things.
All right, man. Appreciate it.
You watch it for me. You let me know how it is.
All right, sounds good. Well, last thing I'll say, Sadis Broly says, thank you for the stream, guys. Really enjoyed the show. Thank you to everybody that listens. We appreciate everything that you do for us. It means a lot. And yeah, like RFB says, be here on Thursday. We will definitely be here on Thursday to deliver a fun spoiler discussion for you guys. All right. Good luck. Tomorrow's the day we get the next installment of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I can't wait to see it. And until Thursday, as always, we have spoken.